Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English. Welcome to the big story, and I'm Sandeep. The Israel-Gaza war is not yet over. Everyone remembers what was the source. In one of the music festivals of the Israelites, the Hamas has opened the fire, killed many, captured many. The war is not yet over. Of course, it is paused, but permanent solution is not yet reached. And when the flame is still not yet completely off, the world has got scared on the Australian incident. Australia, the country which is mostly peaceful, which will not be in the headlines in most of the cases. Australia and the world are in shock after a horrifying act of violence at Sydney's iconic Bondi Beach, a place known globally for leisure, freedom, and multicultural harmony, turned into a scene of fear and chaos. What began as a festive gathering during the Jewish festival of HANUKKAH ended in bloodshed, raising serious questions about public safety, extremism, and the targeting of symbolic public spaces. In this big story, we bring you the verified facts, eyewitness accounts, and reactions, and Australia's response to one of the most disturbing incidents in the recent years, and probably one of the most disturbing incident in the history of Australia. This is the big story of the day. The incident unfolded during the evening hours at the Bondi Beach, one of Australia's most crowded and internationally recognized public locations. According to the police and emergency services, panic broke out when an attacker launched a violent assault near a gathering area where members of Sydney's Jewish community were present. Witnesses reported hearing screams as people ran in all directions, while emergency sirens flooded the beachfront within minutes. Several people were injured, and fatalities have been confirmed, although authorities are still in the process of formally identifying the victims and informing their families. However, the authorities have come to the conclusion that 16 people have lost their lives and dozens others are injured, and few of them are critical. And so they are not officially releasing the final count, but till now 16 people have died. And where this particular bloodshed will end, we have to wait and watch. In the immediate aftermath, the beach was evacuated as the police sealed off the entire area. Armored response units, bomb squads, and counter-terrorism teams were deployed, while public transport services around Bondi were suspended. Residents in nearby areas were urged to remain indoors as authorities worked to secure the scene and assess the threat. Before knowing what exactly has happened, we have to know what exactly is Hanukkah. Hanukkah is one of the Jewish festivals. Also known as Festival of Lights, is one of the most important festivals in Judaism. It commemorates the victory of Maccabees and rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem more than 2000 years ago. The festival symbolizes resistance against oppression, the right to religious freedom, and the triumph of light over darkness. Now, here in the Jewish history, if you see that after this particular dedication of the temple or the Solomon temple, where the Wailing Wall is present now, we all know that later on in the due course of time in the history, the Jews were scattered around the world. In most of the countries, you will be seeing these particular Jews. In entire Europe, in America, Australia, and at that particular time, few of the Jews have even settled in India. Even today, you can see the Jews in little bit quantity in Kerala, Mumbai, Goa, Delhi, Calcutta, and even in the Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh. They are all scattered, and later on, these Jews, in the year 1949, after the Second World War, as we all know that it's nothing but started with a massacre of Jews by Hitler. Hitler almost massacred at more than 60 lakh Jews on the hatred that they are just looting the resources of Germany. This particular hatred feeling of Mein Kampf has resulted in the Second World War, and after that particular Second World War, all the Jews who are scattered around the world have come into one single country, which is then Palestine, now Israel. The border between the Israel and Palestine is still under dispute. Slowly, Israel has been capturing most of the Palestinian land. Palestinians are completely rebelling against this particular Jews. And here, the concept of Muslim and Jewish enmity has come. So the Muslims have turned out to be the enemies of Jews. Once upon a time in the same Palestine, Muslims and Jews used to live side by side in the neighborhood in a very good terms. But in the entire world, after the formation of Israel, Jews and the Islamists have almost become the dreadful enemies. And wherever you go in the world, these Islamic radicals are targeting the Jews in many areas, in almost every part of the world. We all know one particular thing, that in a remote village of Guntur in Andhra Pradesh also, handful of Jews were there. Of course, the Israel government is still not considering them, but yes, they are under process to migrate to Israel. But what exactly the thing is happening is, the Islamic terrorists, in the name of Islam, after the Mumbai 9/11 attacks, they have targeted to perish away all the Jews of the Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh. Now here, this is called as, to some extent, the religious extremism. We cannot name or blame on one particular group as I am mentioning, but I am telling you the historical facts, what exactly has happened throughout the history, especially from 1949. The formation of Israel, Palestinians believe that Israel has occupied their land, while the Israelis argue that it's originally the Hebrew land, which later on the Islamists have occupied and converted into a Muslim territory. Once upon a time, everybody were of the same race, but during the course of time, as per the situations, they have come a dreadful enemies, and thereby this particular Australian shootout where Jews were targeted by the Islamic terrorists, the reason is this entire history.
I ask that everyone pray for the recovery of those who were injured, including a cousin of mine who was in the ICU the last time I checked with serious injuries, and also for the welfare. And I ask all those across the community and beyond, here and around the world, to please pray for the recovery of Ahmed al-Ahmed, someone who was not a member of the Jewish community, but gave up his safety and well-being to stop one of the gunmen and thus prevent even further loss of life. May he recover speedy and fully. I will now ask that as we begin today's program, as joyous and as festive it will be in defiance of what has happened, that we begin with a moment of silence and reflection to honor the memory of those who are no longer with us. Been resolved in the past 2 months, and we all owe a debt of gratitude for that to our President, Donald J. Trump, for not ceasing to work until they were returned home. And may the last one, who is unfortunately no longer alive, also join their family for a burial service so that this can be completed in its totality.
It is a very, very difficult day today because we lost 16 people in Australia, 16 people today. We've had terrorist attacks in Syria. We had the horrible events of Brown. So today, we light the light of Hanukkah to bring light to much of this darkness. There are moments of grief and resolve, but the meaning of Hanukkah speaks volumes.
I ask that everyone pray for the recovery of those who were injured.
That is the observation in the United States of America, where Jews were celebrating Hanukkah, but this particular Hanukkah has become a horrific for the Jews around the world. And you are saying, rather than a celebration, it has become a memorial event or the condolence event. During Hanukkah, actually Jewish families gather to light the menorah, offer prayers, share meals, and celebrate openly. These celebrations often take place in public spaces as a way of expressing cultural pride, unity, and resilience. And this is the main reason why the Sydney Jews have assembled in the beach, which is very famous and international touring spots, because they wanted to celebrate this particular festival in a public place to mention their cultural pride, to show off their unity and resilience. Why this particular unity is, as I told you, the Jews are the most scattered people around the world, and they wanted to give the message that Jews, wherever you are, they are all united. And authorities believe the timing of the attack during Hanukkah was not coincidental, raising concerns that the incident may be linked to religious or ideological hatred, although investigations are still going on. But frankly speaking, we can know who are the attackers. They are the Pakistan origin, and we know who are the victims. All are Jewish people only. Incidentally, initially everybody thought that the terrorists have opened the fire on the tourists. These were the initial reports. But later on, when you see the attacker, when you see the victim, it has become completely clear that is nothing but another attack on the Jews. And why? We all know that. During 26/11 Mumbai attacks also, one particular settlement in Mumbai, the Nariman Point, where the Jewish or the Mumbai Jews assembled together, have become the soft target. We all know that even the rabbi at that particular time, along with his wife, were also killed. And later on, his child, who is orphaned, later on migrated to Israel. We all know that. So, wherever the Jewish settlement is there, they will be becoming the soft target of this religious extremism.
עכשיו בהונגרית. áldott vagy több. És meghagyta nekünk a Hanukka gyertyák meggyújtását. Áldott vagy te örökkévaló. Pavot! Hol annak a fények? Megmond, mishit misaya leyestachin man beis egmor mishit mismor hanu. És hogy miért kell mindig újra és újra félelmet kelteni a bidák zsidó közösségeiben.
The core message of this holiday for 2000 years is that even a little light can win over a lot of darkness. There's no greater darkness than people just taking a rifle and killing innocent people at a religious.
These are the visuals from Hungary. As you all know that, as I have mentioned, Hanukkah is the festival where Jews show their unity. And yesterday, after this particular attack on one of the rising sun, Australia, the Jews of the rest of the world have come together instead of celebrating the festival to have the condolence meeting wherever they are. The celebration has become the mourning. Now, Bondi Beach is not merely a tourist destination. It is a powerful national and international symbol. It represents Australia's open and multicultural identity, attracts large crowds of locals and foreign visitors, and frequently hosts public events and celebrations. Security experts say attackers often choose such high-profile locations to maximize the visibility, spread fear beyond immediate victims, and send a broader political or ideological message. And by targeting Bondi Beach, the attackers ensured instant global attention, significantly amplifying the psychological impact of the incident and sending shock waves far beyond Australia's borders, so that every Jew would be suffering. And that has happened last day. The 16 deaths in Australia has shaken the entire Jewish community. If not Jewish community, obviously everyone mourns for the innocent life. But especially the Jewish wound is much more than the rest of the world. And yes, it is the reason why the Bondi Beach Hanukkah celebration is targeted. Authorities have identified the attackers as Sajid Akram, aged 50, and his son Naveed Akram, aged 24. Both were Australian citizens of Pakistani origin living in Sydney's western suburbs. Sajid was killed during the police response, while Naveed remains under the guard in hospital. Investigations revealed that Naveed had previously been flagged for extremist sympathies with suspected ties to Islamic State supporters in Sydney. Sajid's role appears to have been both ideological and operational, acting alongside his son in what authorities are calling a coordinated assault. Their motive, according to the police, was rooted in anti-Semitism, targeting the Jewish worshippers during one of their most important festivals. Counter-terrorism units are now examining whether the pair acted alone or were a part of a wider network. But this will definitely take a time. But ultimately, yes, it is the target by these Pakistani origin father and son duo onto one particular community. While the investigation remains active, police have confirmed they are examining possible extremist motivations, including the anti-Semitic intent and potential links to international terror network or online radicalization. Of course, police initially said that the ISIS flags are found in the vehicle of the father and son duo, and authorities have stressed that no motive has been officially declared at this particular stage. However, investigation acknowledged that the timing, location, and choice of target strongly suggests the attacks were deliberate and symbolic. Officials say conclusions will only be drawn once all the evidence has been thoroughly analyzed. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese addressed the nation, condemning the violence in the strongest terms and calling it an attack on Australia's core values of tolerance, diversity and freedom. He assured full support for the victims and their families, announced a comprehensive national security review, and confirmed immediate coordination between federal and state agencies. New South Wales authorities increased the police presence across Sydney, particularly around the religious institutions, beaches, public spaces and major transport hubs. Community leaders urged calm and unity, warning against the hate, division or retaliation in the wake of tragedy.
In terms of the father and the son is an Australian-born citizen. The father arrived. I have cleared to be able to talk about the visa history, which I've done.